So for this forensic anthropology activity, you're going to be using a device called a caliper, a Vernier Caliper, and they are great for measuring things that are natural or three-dimensional and not very pure Euclidean geometry like you would use for a ruler. A caliper is a great way to be measuring something that is irregularly shaped. So you're going to be using this to be measuring bones, the different distances between certain features on bones, or the width of an opening, and so on. And so I just want to make sure you understand how to use this, because it can be a touch confusing compared to how you would just read a ruler very easily and straightforwardly. And we're going to be doing this measurement and testing this measurement with a couple different things, but something I suggest you do right off the bat is find something like a penny or a quarter or something like that that is very highly regulated in its size and very precise in its measurement. It's publicly available, so you can look up the exact dimensions of a United States penny, and you can use that as a way to kind of check to make sure you're measuring things correctly. We're going to walk you through the step-by-step ways to read a caliper so you can be successful on your forensic anthropology activity. So before we get started, let's talk about the basic anatomy of a caliper. You have the non-moving inside portion, which is called the major scale, and you have the moving outside portions called the minor scale. And it's the interaction between these two things that allow you to measure objects precisely. And it's also the interaction between those two things, which might be a little bit confusing at first. So there are two different ways to use the minor scale. There's an inside reading and an outside reading. Which one you use is determined by how you are measuring objects. If you are putting the caliper around something, like measuring this penny, then I'm going to use the outside scale, because the caliper is outside of the object that you are using. If I put this into, say, a water bottle and put the head of the caliper into the water bottle and then open it up as far as I can measure the width of the opening, and I would use the inside scale. In the activity that we're doing here in HPS, you will be using the inside scale once to measure the width of a nasal passage or nasal cavity, but for everything else you'll be using the outside scale. So I'll be using the outside scale to show you how to use a caliper right now. So let's measure this penny. And again, I know the answer because it's a highly regulated object, but I'm going to leave it right there, and I'm going to go ahead and measure. The fact that the penny is suspended in here shows me that I have an accurate reading. You got to make sure that the object that you're measuring fits snugly into the position. Now, because the penny's really light, it actually stays there and is suspended, so you don't have to make sure that everything is held up like that, but I know I'm good to go. I'm going to get the whole number of my measurement by finding where the 0 on the minor scale lines up on the major scale. So I'm looking for the tick mark of 0, and I want to see where that lines up. I want to find the number that the 0 mark is past or exactly perfectly on, and then that's going to give me the whole number. So in this case, my 0 is not yet to 20, so I am not 20 millimeters in diameter. So I'm going to come back, and it's actually lined up to 19, and it's lined up essentially perfectly to 19 millimeters. This 0 and that tick mark, these two tick marks, are lined up perfectly. So this is 19 millimeters in diameter. Now, if you look it up, it's actually 19.07 millimeters in diameter, but the accuracy of this caliper only goes down to the 10th position. So to this caliper, that is 19 centimeters in diameter. So I'm good to go. So I know that I'm reading this correctly because my measurement here matches up with the official measurement of a penny, and I feel confident in my ability to understand how to find the whole number in measuring on a caliper. Now, to figure out how to use decimal places, I need another object that we can measure. So I'm going to switch out this penny for this color checker, which is something we use to make these videos. And I'm going to use the outside scale, and I'm going to try to see how thick this side of the color checker is. I'm going to take it out. I know it fits in there well, but I'm going to take it out so it's out of the way so you can see everything. So I still have to start by finding the whole number measurement for this. I got to find the 0. What number have I gone past, but what number am I not yet to? And I got to find that area. So I am past 5, I am past 6, I am not yet to 7. So the whole number measurement for this object is 6 millimeters. Now I have to figure out what the decimal place is. So I'm going to use the same method. I'm going to find where a tick mark on the minor scale matches up with a tick mark on the major scale. It is not 0, so I'm going to move on. Is it 1? It is not 1. Is it 2? It is not 2. It's getting closer, but it's not there. Is it 3? No. Is it 4? It looks a lot like it might be 4. Let me go past one more to see if that one's a better measurement, but we might be coming back to 0.4 being the measurement. 0.5. That one's really close. That's going to be kind of a pick it up and look really closely to see. It's definitely not 6. So it's either 0.4 or 0.5. To me, it actually looks like 0.4 is the better measurement from the angle I'm looking at. If I wanted to measure this more precisely or look at it more precisely, yeah, I'm confident that it's a 0.4. So what that means is the measurement, the width of this object is 6 because it's past 6 but not to 7. The 0 is past 6 but not to 7. And then it is 0.4 because 0.4 on the minor scale lines up with a tick mark. Doesn't matter what this tick mark is in the middle. It lines up with a tick mark on the major scale better than anything else on this line. And so from that, I can go ahead and be confident in saying that the width is 6.4 millimeters. So what I would suggest doing is testing yourself with a couple other objects with these calipers that you can compare and contrast some answers to with some other people. And then once you feel confident with how to use this, you will take the quiz that is on this page, and you have to pass the quiz with 100% accuracy by reading some measurements. I have some photos of objects that you need to read and have the correct answer for. It is important for you to be able to do this accurately, because if you're off by a little bit, or off by a lot because you use the major or minor scales different, or use the inside or outside scales differently, either way, even a small error can be exacerbated later when you take this measurement and then put it into an algorithm and multiply and do all kinds of other things. Your errors will also be multiplied, and so your height estimations might be very far off. So make sure you get this correct. Feel free to ask me questions in class or double check your readings in class if you need to, but using a caliper is pretty straightforward once you kind of wrap your mind around how the interaction between the major scale and the minor scale allows you to measure objects.